For the Hawks, no Giannis for the Bucks.
It's East Conference Finals. There's no excuses. It doesn't matter whoever's playing, who's not playing. You got to fight through and win.
Caught and flushed by Brook Lopez. They have no answer for Lopez.
Off to Bobby Portis. Slam dunk.
Portis has come up big. The fans love him here.
Middleton spins, gets deep. What a move.
I thought we just did a great job of playing together. And when everyone's scoring, everyone's doing their thing, that's tough for the defense.
Interesting night in Milwaukee last night as the Bucks take a 3-2 series lead over the Hawks. No Giannis, no Trae Young. The Bucks played big, they played strong, and they won easily. And Vince Carter is here, and Jalen Rose gets up with us early this morning out on the West Coast. Jalen, what's your number one takeaway from Milwaukee's win last night?
Points in the paint, and they played with a level of physicality that they should actually use more often. Every time I watch the Milwaukee Bucks play, I say they're very unique because their 7-footer is Giannis, and he's extremely agile, and he's a terrific ball handler for his size. But also he plays alongside Brook Lopez, who used to be a 20-point scorer with a terrific post game. And as the game changed, he started to evolve into a three-point shooter to keep up with the times. But he got away from his physicality in the paint. He was blocking shots. He was dunking. He was actually playing like a physical big man. And that was impressive to watch. And now Bobby Portis can come in, give you quality minutes, make some shots, give you some toughness, give you some height on the front line. And so it was a complete win for the Milwaukee Bucks because they definitely needed it playing without Giannis, with the Hawks playing without Trae Young.
VC, is that the recipe for Milwaukee? Points in the paint, winning whether Giannis comes back or not. Is this the way they need to play?
It is the recipe, points in the paint, because even if Trae Young comes back, you want to post him up. You want to make them have to make a decision. Are you going to allow Drew Holiday or Middleton to play one-on-one, or are you going to double team, which now will open up the opportunities to shoot threes? But I want to go back real quick on post-ups with Brook Lopez. Yes, I'm not going to say Brook forgot how to post up, but today's game, is a little different than what we used to see, Jay Rose. Like we used to see Duncan and Robinson. We used to see Olajuwon and Sampson, all of these, two bigs posting up on either block. We don't see that anymore. So you want to give Giannis as much space in the post as possible because he's going to demand a double team. And if you have somebody like Lopez who can shoot the three, you want that, because if you flip it the other way, guess what? You put Giannis out there on the three, I'm going to say, please shoot the three. You understand? So that's just the way the game has changed.
All right, so an interesting night last night, and we'll see. The Bucks have a 3-2 series lead. Meanwhile, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. The game is played without Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's played without Trae Young, and it's just a continuation of what has been an unfortunate pattern in this postseason. Let me put the numbers up there for you if I can. Giannis becomes the 10th All-Star from this season to miss at least one playoff game in this postseason, which already breaks the all-time record. It had been 6, and you might say, well, why isn't Trae Young on that screen? It's because he wasn't an all-star this year, but he's clearly a player of that magnitude. So it just continues what has been a really unfortunate postseason as far as that's concerned. And so, Jalen, you know what people are asking on Twitter, and I'll ask it to you. Will the championship this year be somehow tainted because of all the players who didn't play?
Absolutely not. And I got a secret for fans and media. Be happy you just got 2 NBA seasons. The first season happened in the bubble. Remember, LeBron James and Anthony Davis won a championship for the Lakers without fans. This was a compressed 72-game season in order to get the local television money so the players could pocket their money, and also so we could have some integrity for who's actually going to be the champion. And all injuries are created equal. Like a guy like James Harden came into the season, we don't know if him being out of shape had an effect later on his hamstring injury. We just don't know that. Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Davis have been load managing. Chris Paul is on that list. He missed those 2 games because of COVID. Kyrie Irving came down on Giannis's foot. So it's not necessarily because of the schedule. And I don't believe it's going to be tainted. Be enthusiastic about the fact that we're going to get a champion from one of these teams that hasn't had a championship, if it's the Bucks since the 70s, or the Phoenix Suns, who have never won the championship. Did you see the enthusiasm of their fans after they won the West? And as somebody that's played in the NBA Finals, of course the goal is to win the championship, but people dismiss if you didn't win a championship. You can't tell me that the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks fans are going to look at this as an asterisk if they go ahead and win the championship.
Absolutely fair. Vince Carter, your thought?
And I want to add to that. And the beauty of this year, you can't sit here and say, oh, the Golden State Warriors or the Lakers, we know they're going to win. The Cavs of old, we know they're going to win. The Brooklyn, we're not sure. And the parity of this year has been great. It keeps you guessing. It keeps fans and players, for that matter, tuned in. You're tuned in to see who's actually going to pull this off. Who is going to crack the code and become the champion? Because we're not sure. There's no outright winner or favorite, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough. So that's the story from last night. Now to the moment, Jalen, that I have been waiting for. This in the paint, outscoring the Hawks 66-36 inside. Brook Lopez had 26 of those points, 13 of 14 shooting. He's the first player with 25 or more in the paint and at least 90% shooting in the last 25 years. And so the basketball conversation continues this morning. Zach Lowe and Vince Carter. And, you know, we sit here, we consider just how frightening that injury to Giannis looked. So I guess I would want to ask you this question, Vince. If he is not able to come back, or if indeed in his return he's nowhere near his best, this formula, what we saw from them last night, pounding it down low, playing their bigs, playing a power game, could that win Milwaukee a championship? Can they win the whole thing? Could they beat Phoenix if they get there without Giannis?
I don't think it's enough, Greeny, to beat Phoenix. You add Giannis, you're over the top because Giannis is a tough guard. With what the Milwaukee Bucks have, it would make it a great series, an interesting series, but maybe not enough. You put Giannis with this group and playing like that, different story.
Same question for you, Zach. And you know, earlier today, Wendy was sort of bemoaning the Bucks not doing this more, even when Giannis is on the floor, taking more advantage of their physicality and of their size and sort of falling in love with shooting threes. Do you think this formula, even without Giannis, could win them a championship?
Well, the irony is without Giannis, they have more shooting, which makes it easier for them to take advantage of their size because the paint is wide open. But I agree with Vince. I think the Bucks have enough to fight the Suns nip and tuck. It's fun. The NBA, all these guys are good. You take away a star, everyone else steps up. You kind of find a new identity. But if the Suns are fully healthy, unless the Bucks really catch some breaks, I think that's a Suns win in 6. Maybe 7 if the Bucks really play above their heads. I think they have enough to fight, but not enough to win.
All right, and then, Zach, I'll stay with you then for the next piece of this because I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. They're going back to Atlanta. The Hawks have a chance. We'll see if Trae Young is able to go. If they don't get him back, Zach, do you see the Hawks forcing a Game 7?
It's hard to bet against the home team, but I think the Bucks found something. I think they feel it. I think they have a little bit of an edge, and I think the Hawks were sort of caught off guard by the Bucks switching defense in Game 5. Now, they'll be better prepared for it in Game 6, but maybe the Bucks change it up. I just feel like the Bucks, they smell it. They're not afraid to play on the road. They seem to like and feel a hunger playing without Giannis if they indeed have to do that. So I'll pick the Bucks tentatively to close it out in Atlanta, but that doesn't mean I'm dismissing the Hawks. And if Trae Young plays, all bets are off.
How about you, Vince? I know your heart is there with those guys in Atlanta.
My heart is with my boys.
What do you see here?
Exactly. I'm going to echo exactly what Zach said. I mean, I think the Bucks have realized if they're physical with the Hawks, they like their chances because it opens up just a new avenue for them. But I think if you get Trae Young back, even if he's not 80%, he draws the attention and hopefully he can create open shots for other guys to get going. The Hawks have been very good at home, so I'm going to stick with my Hawks in 6, and they, and to take it to Game 7.
Okay, we'll see if they're able to do it. That series rolls on. These two guys, Vince coming back, Jalen Rose will join us a little later in this hour as well. Guys, thanks. Meanwhile, not all the news is